Amanda, you're very excited today, right?
Yes. First off, let me say, welcome to Real Awkward.
Oh, right.
Andy just wants to jump right in.
Yes, he does, but it's fine because I'm excited.
You're right. Yes.
So I'm Amanda Knickerbocker.
I'm Andy Case.
Welcome to the show.
And we have a special guest.
I'm sorry.
Am I that special, though?
Yeah.
We have a special guest every week.
Every week is our
Are there
special.
quotes around that special?
Yeah.
Sure. You want quotes or no quotes?
Yeah, whatever you want to do. It's 2020, baby.
Whatever you want, girl.
You can do whatever you want.
Keep a trophy.
Yes, if you want. Or a meatloaf. Has anyone ever made you a meatloaf before?
Ew. Like my dad? Like
Not like as a trophy.
nobody outside of my household has ever made a meatloaf for me or presented it to me.
You score a goal in soccer, and mom's like, meatloaf tonight. It'd be like,
Every
man,
goal you score is one meatloaf.
That is not on the top of my list.
I have so many
Gross.
meatloafs.
Gross.
Like, why would you keep them?
Other kid have
Yeah.
trophies. I have meatloafs on my shelf.
Yeah.
Ew.
Gross.
Ew. Okay, so before I rudely didn't
rude.
introduce us during this podcast, the Real Awkward podcast, by the way, where you can find us on Spotify.
And iHeartRadio and iTunes and Google and Stitcher, and I'm waiting to be approved on Pandora.
Are we approved on Apple?
iTunes, dude. I
Oh,
said iTunes.
sorry. You're right. I'm dumb. I totally forgot that.
I've
It's a
been
thing.
working really hard to get us on a lot of websites.
No. The problem is I have no idea who's listening. So here's the deal. Do us a favor. Please go to our Instagram page, Real Awkward Podcast. Send us a message that says, hey, I have heard you on whatever Amanda listed.
Yeah, if you are listening
like
to
to
us on
know.
a certain platform, please let us know, because then I will know what's working. And then if you normally listen to your podcast on a different website that we aren't listed on, let me know, and I will get us onto that side as well.
Right. Because we would like to be there for you.
I'm trying to get us on whatever.
Yeah, any way we can.
sites. But like Andy said, I'm excited about this episode because when this episode will come out for us, it will mostly be Half-O-Ween, which is halfway through the year of getting to Halloween.
Halfway to Halloween.
Halfway to Halloween. It's
Half-O-Ween.
Half-O-Ween.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait,
So-
how are you like half a ghost?
I don't know. You're like only partially see-through.
Like just your lower half?
Yeah. Sure.
Your upper half?
Yeah.
Oh, Onward. Have you seen that yet?
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, so we haven't finished it yet, so I don't want to do any spoilers. But that is so funny that he's just a pair of legs.
I love it.
Yeah.
John and I have been talking, and I was like, dude, we should be them, like for Comic-Con or something. And because I was like, my dad would be the dad.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then I
that'd be
was like,
awesome.
and he goes, you want to be brothers? And I was like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. And he goes, well, who would be Barley? Like the Chris Pratt character. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, me, obviously. And he goes,
Duh.
well, I want to be that guy. That's not
This is
fun.
not working out.
Yeah.
It's
I'm like,
over.
This isn't working.
You guys all show up as half a person.
Yeah.
So happy Half-O-Ween then.
This is Half-O-Ween. This is Half-O-Ween. No, it's fun. I mean, every day is Halloween, but it's also fun when
Yes.
a special day is Half-O-Ween.
So Amanda wanted to do a special
Rank 'em.
Rankum episode,
Yes.
which if you guys haven't checked out our other Rankum episodes, please do. We have done, what have we done so far?
Academy Award winning movies.
Yep.
And
we ranked
then
those suckers.
comedy movies, which I had only seen a few of. So
Yes, that was
Sorry.
whoops on us. Do a little research.
But I
before we
promise I've
start.
seen all of these ones.
So what's the topic for this Rankum?
For this Rankum, since in appreciation of the holiday, we're doing classic horror movies, classic horror movies. So not really keeping anything in a time frame, but they're gonna be like the OG kind of classic late
70s to 90s.
80s, early
Yeah.
90s.
Yep.
We have a
And if we
handful of
miss
them.
something, you have to let us know.
Yeah.
If it deserved to be on the list, I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, if there was, I basically, we try to keep it to a handful of them. If there was something I missed that, you're upset about, let me know. because I also was just trying to keep it concise.
Yeah, it's Amanda's fault. She wrote all of these down.
I did. But I also know that in October we'll be doing a whole spooky month. So if we didn't talk about a movie here, let us know. We can try to talk about it then.
We will correct the ship.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we're probably gonna. I mean, I want to do a spooky month, so it's gonna happen.
I want to do Spooky Month, so it's
I
going
want
to
a
happen.
spooky month.
Amanda would do Spooky Month every month.
Yes,
Yeah.
every month could
I
be
sure would.
Half-O-Ween until Halloween rolls around.
Yeah. So
Cool. Well, let's just roll right into this thing.
Yeah.
So our producer, who is also our special guest,
yeah.
has all of these classic horror films in front of her.
Pile
And
O horror films.
she is going to open them up and let us know what they are. And our job is to rank them from the best to the worst. And we will see if we are on the same page
Yes.
about these things. So without further ado,
Are we ready?
producer,
Yes, please.
throw us one.
Numero uno.
That means number one for anybody who does not speak Spanish.
Thank you.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Number one.
Number one's always number one.
You're right.
That's fair. So
This would be really sad if it was just to rank them with one.
well. I guess it's top and
It's
bottom.
always
and the worst.
number one.
So for anybody who doesn't know, this is obviously the Freddy Krueger series. So I like the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I know we're not talking about this. I hated the remake.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I could that whole episode on me being upset about that
A
crap.
lot of these have remakes that
Yes.
aren't great.
So this
we
is-
don't have to sit on
I
that.
was gonna say generally, as a franchise,
Yes,
the
I-
Nightmare on Elm Street is good.
They're decent.
Yes.
I think they have a good mix of like comedy and horror. Like Robert Englund is a classic like character actor. as
Nobody
Freddy
could have
Krueger.
done Freddy Krueger like him, and since has not done Freddy Krueger like him.
Yeah. So that being said, I think it's great. I don't think it's the best. classic.
and I've got the brains. Do you remember that?
No.
What? Come on, Fresh
no.
Prince and Jazzy Jeff doing the Nightmare on Elm Street.
I do
There's
not
a
remember that
nightmare
line.
on my street.
on my street.
No, I know what song you're talking
Oh, okay.
about, but like that part of it does
You
not
don't
ring a
remember
bell.
that? You don't remember that line? That's the
I thought
only
you were,
time
like,
Freddy,
quoting the movie
it's
or
the only time
something.
Freddy sings, I think, in it.
Oh,
He
boy.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, next one.
What were you saying?
I was gonna say that. I mean, I haven't watched horror movies a lot, and most of the classic ones I've probably seen once, so I don't like really remember them. But I have to say that Freddy Krueger is like the concept of him is the scariest.
Right.
Oh, sure, you can't go to sleep.
A crazy burn victim with knife hands.
Not that, but
Oh.
you see him in your dreams.
Right.
You can't escape. Like you can't sleep.
But he comes. So I don't know if this was just Freddy versus Jason in the lore of Freddy Krueger, but if he touches you in your dream, he can come with you to reality. Is
There-
that true?
I don't remember enough to
Okay.
say yes or no, but I do know that there are a lot of movies where he does come into the reality.
Right. The
part
real
of
world.
it.
Yes. Yeah.
But I will say that some of the visuals in the Nightmare on Elm Street series are some of the best. Like you have the one
Epic.
where the first movie where Johnny Depp gets sucked into the bed and then all the blood goes up onto the
Squirts.
ceiling.
Yes. I say squirt. It's gush.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like that alone was like
Johnny Depp is also in like a tube top.
he's in like a crop top.
It's a crop top football jersey. I
yeah.
think. With a midriff showing.
Yes. The thing I like about a lot of classic horror movies, especially, is there was no computer generated graphics. It was
No,
all practical effects and how they could make this stuff work.
They were so
Now that being
epic.
said, there is a scare at the end of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, which is one of the cheesiest things in any horror movie. Period.
What is that?
Freddy comes after the main, like the
Girl.
main girl.
Yeah.
He comes after her mom and like yanks her through a window. And you'll have to Google it. Like,
Okay,
or
I'll have to
YouTube,
watch it.
Look this up on YouTube. But like, it's the final like scare, and he like sucks the mom through a window, and it is the fakest looking shit I've ever seen.
I know there's been some Freddy scares that I've loved. There was one where he his arms
The
go
super long
out
arms?
really
Yeah.
long, and he's scraping the sides of the
Yeah.
metal grates as he's walking down the alley or
It's
whatever
cool,
it is.
like-
But yeah, and his like silhouette. And so yes, there is some really cool stuff in that Nightmare on Elm Street. So on our list so far, I would say that's number one. What do you guys say?
One out of one, sure.
The horse is dead with that joke.
Moving on.
Got it.
Yep.
Next.
Poltergeist.
Okay, so Poltergeist, I think it's classic, as in there are some classic like images from that movie, especially like the little girl sitting in front of the TV.
That's the most iconic,
Like
yeah.
they're here. Like okay, as a whole, the movie is weird, but so I think Poltergeist is scary. Okay, so back when I was a kid, even now, I don't sleep ever. I don't sleep. And so when I was a kid, I would wake up really early and I would just go watch TV. And I was watching the Sci-Fi Channel at like 6 a.m. once, and Poltergeist was on. And that movie scared me so bad.
How
that,
old
like,
were you?
I must have been like, I was in elementary school, so I must have been like 7 or 8.
That's
Like,
enough to freak you out.
I was young, and like the little girl, and then like the weird kind of like weird like midgety lady being
Yeah.
like, this house is clean, like scared the shit out of me. And so for years I would not watch that movie again.
That movie does a really good job on like the suspense before something happens.
Oh yeah.
And the music I remember being very like the eerie tones and the things that happen within the house. But I think like I know this is on our list. Have you seen Entity?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's from about the same time. And
Okay.
it's roughly the same thing, but it's about this entity, poltergeist,
Yeah.
that tortures this lady.
Oh.
And like you see it do these things to her, and it's freaking creepy.
Oh.
Like super creepy. So anyway, it's kind of in the same vein as Poltergeist, but I would say anytime you're dealing with things where you don't really see the monster or the villain, or
Sure.
you know what I mean, those can be more eerie to your imagination.
Well, because it's your brain filling in the blanks of what's happening.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
I would
so-
say from a classic though, Nightmare on Elm Street would be above Poltergeist.
I agree.
Yes.
Have you ever seen it,
Poltergeist.
Ashley?
Never seen it.
Okay. It's good.
Some of that I know exorcisms freak you out. But
Yeah.
ghosts and stuff,
Poltergeist
I don't know if that
isn't
wouldn't get you as
something.
much.
Sorry, I just did a hard pee in the mic. It's not something that I haven't seen because I have chosen not to. It's just
Yeah, it wasn't on your radar.
never-
and
yeah.
when did that come out?
I think the 70s or
So
early 80s.
you
I don't
wouldn't
know.
have even had a reason to watch it.
I mean,
to
I
be
just saw The
honest.
Shining like a year ago.
Right.
So
Sure. Yeah, she did.
not on top of it. Okay.
All right, cool. So
What's next?
yeah.
Scream.
Ooh. Why that? Oh wait.
Is that a scream?
No, it
No.
wasn't. It basically came from the Scary Movie franchise.
When they were making fun of Scream.
Yeah.
He just calls
Mm-hmm.
and then they just say what's up back and forth, and then it cuts back to the Scream face and it has like a tongue like hanging out.
I have seen Scary Movie, so
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
yeah, I kind of know what you're talking about.
But Scream was creepy because of the way he called. Like
Mm-hmm.
in that beginning. Like that's and then it's Drew Barrymore, right? And I'm pretty
Mm-hmm. Who was a huge actress at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still a huge actress, but like early mid 90s was like Drew Barrymore.
It was Drew Barrymore. She was also doing the Charlie's Angels thing too,
Not
right?
yet.
Was that 2000s?
That late 90s, early 2000s, but she hadn't
It was
done
still
that yet.
pretty early. She had like a blonde bob cut,
Mm-hmm.
and isn't she cooking popcorn or is that Scary Movie? I'm
No,
like,
I think
I'm
she's
like,
making popcorn.
Making popcorn. What was her name? I want to say Sydney, but that's not. That's
No, that's Sidney
Nev,
Prescott's the main character.
That's Nev Campbell.
Um,
Nev Campbell.
I don't know.
Anyway, yes, that scene probably takes the cake for me for a lot of like classic horror movie scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just like, what are you wearing? Like I
Nope.
can see you. I can like what are you doing? But that scene ends and her guts are hanging out and she's just hanging from a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was where you're like, oh, this movie isn't playing around.
Well, basically, the movie took the biggest billed actress in that movie.
Yeah.
And killed her within the first 10 minutes.
You're right. It was like
Spoiler.
I'm sorry. The movie's 25 years old.
yeah. If you guys have ever watched our podcast, we don't give spoiler alerts. We talk about it. If you haven't seen it, too bad.
If the movie's more than like 2 years old, sorry, you're not getting a spoiler
That's all
alert.
you get here on the Real Awkward Podcast. You get a 2-year buffer.
Sorry, that's
and
it.
then your ass should have seen it. Where would you rank this, Amanda?
You tell me where you would rank it first.
I would still say Nightmare is above it for various reasons. Number one, just how iconic it is. I know Scream is iconic, but I would say Nightmare Before Elm Street, Scream, and then Poltergeist is where I'd put it.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, Nightmare. What did I say?
Nightmare before Elm Street. You said it twice.
The Nightmare Before Elm Street. They should have done a mix-up
Oh
with
my
that.
God. A claymation
Jack
Nightmare on Elm
Skellington
Street.
comes out and he's like, "What's up, Freddy?" And they start doing a
Oh my
jingle
God.
together. I'm sorry. So I would put Scream as number 2.
I would.
Sorry, I'm just picturing now like Freddy's long fingers and then Jack's long fingers.
They're just like
like-
they're just dancing around each other. So dumb.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I would put Scream as number 1. Scream is probably my
Oh.
favorite classic horror movie. It's one of,
Okay.
if not my favorite.
Okay,
Okay.
so we're gonna do a 1A and a 1B.
Yeah,
Sure.
I like it. I like it. We're gonna have to really work on this one.
I think Scream is the one of the best horror movies. Period. Like I'm a
Scream-
huge Scream fan.
Scream was. I know they did it in all of the films, but I felt like it really showcased where people ran the wrong direction than they should have.
Uh-huh.
Like
Well,
in
so
most of the
basically-
Scream movies.
So when Scream
Yeah.
came out, it was the horror movie genre was really at a low.
Yeah.
A lot of
You're
just like
right.
shitty sequels
Yeah.
were getting churned out and turned
Yeah.
out, and Wes Craven really kind of like turned the genre and like not only called out a lot of these things, they actually like they turned the table on a lot of stuff where now movies do a lot of things that Scream did.
You're right. It did bring a true horror film back to
A real
prominence.
slasher back
Yes.
into the mainframe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Scream even had Jamie Kennedy's character.
Yeah.
He was like the nerd. He basically like lays out in the movie of like, don't go alone. Don't say I'll be back.
Yeah.
Don't be a slut.
Yeah, make
Don't,
fun of all of
and
these.
he's
You're
like
right.
calling out all
Yeah.
these things which happen in the movies.
Yeah.
And I think it's great because it's calling out all these horror movie tropes that
It-
horror movies now do all the time. They'll call it out.
It does slap what came before it in the face, which
Yes.
is kind of like I'm king of the mountain now.
I get it.
So I understand your perspective. I
But anyway.
absolutely do. From a franchise, though, when I'm looking at those as 2 separate movies. Okay, if you were just looking at the first Nightmare and the first Scream, Scream all the way. Franchises, though, Nightmare takes it for me versus the Scream franchise because Scream 1 and 2 I thought were good, and then I didn't think that it got. I didn't feel like 3 was great, and I don't remember. Wasn't 4?
Scream?
Wasn't there a 4?
Yes. Scream.
Which I don't remember.
See, it's all personal preference because I think the 3 are great
Yeah.
because basically number 1 is high school, number 2 they go to college,
Right.
and then number 3, like they're doing a movie of the first one, and now people are dying, and so they bring a bunch of people back.
Right.
So it works. And then
Courtney
number
Cox is in all
Yes.
of them too,
Yes.
right? Yeah. That's right.
So, and then number 4 is they've all grown up and gone on to other things, but now there's murders happening like the original murders all
Yeah.
over again. The 4th one was not the best,
Right.
but it was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure we'll fight more about this, so I can talk more about Scream another day.
No.
But,
Those
yeah.
are really good
We'll come back
points.
to it.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
I
sure we'll
like
have to
your-
come back to it.
I like your arguments.
What else we got?
It.
Number 10.
Wait, okay, so
I'm
let's
just
clarify.
Kidding. I'm just kidding.
Do we want to talk about the original, or do we want to talk about the newer one?
Again, I think we look at these as franchises. It's
Sure.
maybe it's not fair because Poltergeist didn't.
It has a franchise.
I know there were some other movies, but they didn't hold a candle to the first one.
No, I don't.
So, but it scary for its time, hokey now. The original.
Yeah, because it was a TV movie.
Right.
But I will say that Tim Curry's Pennywise is
It's a pretty good
creepy.
Pennywise. He's a
He's
pretty good
creepy.
Pennywise. I did like the new portrayal.
I liked the
Of Pennywise.
first
I
movie.
think that's where
Yeah.
this drops on the list. Is
Yeah.
that the second one? And I actually haven't seen the second one yet. All I have done is hear how comedic it got. Like that it ended up being
With I don't want
almost
to
like a satire of its own self.
I don't want to spoil too much because it is newer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
been
if
within
you've
2
seen
years, you're
if you've
saying.
seen the original, then I'm not spoiling anything. for you.
Right.
From coming from the first It movie of the secondary franchise, the first one is great.
I
It
think
is
I
so
agree.
good.
I liked it a lot.
It is so
Yeah.
scary. It is so like the guy who played Pennywise is freaky. Like
Yeah.
they nailed it.
Yeah.
As a franchise, the newer franchise is like the first movie is like, whoa, this is so good, and the second movie's like, meow.
Like what happened?
Yeah.
Funny enough, Ash has a different opinion of it. She doesn't think the clown is scary at
I
all.
never saw the original.
Right.
I saw the first newer one. And Andy looks over to me in the middle of the movie like, isn't this scary? And I'm like, no. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the part where he's like running around them, like popping up. I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Like I'm scared of like clowns in real life creep me out. Like
Yeah,
if
they're
I walk
creepy.
by somebody dressed in a clown costume, I would say stay away.
Yeah, she's like, I'm good.
But this did not scare me at all.
I think the movie did a good job of building a lot of tension and like knowing where it could like push the creepier moments. But there were some parts in it that I will agree that were like, what is happening? Like, what is happening?
Georgie.
Yeah.
Hiya, Georgie.
Hi, Georgie.
Yeah. There were a couple parts that were like, what? But I did really like it as a whole.
The
But yeah,
book,
I mean-
and even the TV movie couldn't do it. There's like some way more intense stuff that happens in the book.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that movie will ever be able to be made the way it needs to.
I think there's
I
some
don't
scenes
know.
that don't need to be filmed.
Fair. It took some weird turns in the book.
Yeah.
So where would you guys rank this one?
I would think out of all of them, I would put it low for now.
I would put it obviously as like lower than Scream or Nightmare on Elm Street, but I
Right.
think as a franchise, it's better than Poltergeist.
Yeah, higher than Poltergeist. Agreed. Agreed. Next.
The Shining.
I was one of those people that like I had heard it and I had seen it when I was younger. Ash and I rewatched it, and I was not that much of a fan.
Yeah, we decided it didn't really hold up.
Yeah, I feel like it's nothing. It's very suspenseful, the entire thing, and it's very eerie. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, it's just a man.
Sorry, it's like 50 years old.
It's like
I
50.
don't
Yeah,
care.
it's a man that basically just goes psycho. He literally just loses his mind in this hotel, and aside from Jack Nicholson having some interesting moments and some creepy faces that he makes, overall, I thought that the acting was really terrible. I think that the wife, I don't know her name,
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall, and the kid are terrible actors. And I thought they did, at least for that film. I know Shelley Duvall has done stuff later, and it was better. But I didn't think that the acting was great. And just like, I laughed. Like at the end when he just dies in the cold. And I just thought it was like one of the worst.
The scene of him frozen
Endings.
is bad. That's
It's
not how it
hokey.
ends.
It's
That's not
hokey.
how the real story ends.
Yeah.
I think The Shining, as far as like classic thrillers goes, I think it's one of the better ones as far as like building the atmosphere and like and the Overlook Hotel as itself is a character in this movie.
That's maybe what I like more about the film. Is that
The setting.
the setting
I
in the
love it.
hotel, and the things that happen
Yes.
to Jack Nicholson's character
Yeah.
is cool, but himself,
He's an
like,
asshole.
Yeah, like he's not even nice from the beginning.
No, and I think it's
Yeah.
interesting that you have these characters where Shelley Duvall, she is obviously like she's not in a great situation.
Yeah.
But like there's not really a hero so much in this movie.
No.
And you have like obviously like the iconic scenes of this movie because it's like a classic. Obviously, Jack Nicholson like coming through the door. Shelley Duvall with the knife.
Technically, she's supposed to be the hero because her
Yes.
character arc is that she was like, she's weak.
Yeah.
And she's overpowered by him, like verbally
Yeah.
and emotionally. And then by the end, she takes him out. But that's because he changed. But did he really change, or does the house like pull out who you really are? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like,
I think it's
Yeah.
hard because maybe if that movie had come out when we were in our teens,
sure.
it might be like, holy shit, man, this movie. You know, it might be one of those ones where it's like, I didn't see some of that stuff coming.
Well, I think that's what it is. It's supposed to be more of like a mind bender
Yeah.
for the 70s.
Yeah.
70s, right? 70s.
I believe so.
A mind bender for the 70s. And that hits a little bit more of a definition for the film
Yeah.
then is thriller mind bender than like horror, scary. Like, I think a lot of the stuff is just like, oh, and then like at the end, oh, is he trapped in the house forever? Like
Yeah.
these, these questions. But overall, like, I can pass on watching The Shining ever again and I would be fine. And I would watch all 4 of these again.
I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
that if you're into thrillers, scary movies, blah, 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 it should be watched because I think it's good once or twice.
It's a milestone in the filmmaking process
Yes.
as well. Like Kubrick.
Yes. It's Stephen King, Stanley Kubrick. Like, the two of them together
Yeah.
made a freaking
Yeah.
crazy movie. I know Stephen King didn't care for it.
Right.
But what it makes me want to do is just go to the real Stanley Hotel, which is what it's based on.
Yeah.
I've told John, like, at some point in our lives, we are going there.
They have redone The Shining as well.
a
3
few
or 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't remember the last one that
There
they
was one
did.
with Steven Weber that was like a TV movie.
Yeah,
But they just
yeah.
came out with a sequel called Dr. Sleep that with Ewan
Oh, right,
McGregor
right,
that I do
right.
want to see that I've
Yeah.
heard is good.
Yeah. So anyway, that I already gave my opinion on where I think Shining should be.
Do you think it belongs at the bottom or do you think it belongs somewhere in the middle of
I
where
think
we're at?
out of the 5 that we have right now, I can put Shining above Poltergeist.
Sure, I agree with that.
But I would say it's probably on par with it in my need to not really watch them.
The
too
man
much
with the
again.
long arms fails to.
Yeah, Andy
help
has the
us
longest
move these
arms.
It's funny to
pieces of
see you
paper.
guys struggle.
I have
across.
short arms.
Got it.
So currently right now, for people playing along at home, we have Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street tied as number 1, then It, The Shining, and then Poltergeist.
yes,
So let's
that
get another.
is correct.
Night of the Living Dead.
You can talk about this movie first.
Okay, so it really sucks. I want to be one of those people that enjoy the early 70s, was it late 70s? I thought it was early 70s.
I think early, yeah.
I want to enjoy that
I
stuff.
don't know dates of
but
when
the
movies came out.
practical effects and kind of the storytelling is something I find myself hard getting into, but it was still some of the best looking effects anyone had ever seen
Yes.
in that film at the time.
Sure.
At the time, I would say that it still to me has some hoke
Sure.
to it, and that's pretty much my opinion. Like I enjoy it, but I don't think it's on par with Scream or Nightmare on Elm Street. Talk to me.
You have to think about when this movie was made. This movie was
Right.
made for almost nothing.
Right. Cheap.
So if you think about it, other than the original like Universal monster movies, which we will talk about at length another day, this was one of the very first scary movies,
Right.
like horror movies.
Right.
So at its core, it is a classic in a sense that there wasn't anything really before it. So
Fair.
really,
Does that give it more push in your list?
I think it's, for me, I love zombie movies.
Yeah.
It's the OG zombie movie because before that you really only had like white zombie, a lot of like voodoo zombie movies,
Oh, okay. Sure.
but they weren't in the idea of like these are flesh-eating monsters.
Right.
It was like you're under a spell. And
Right. So this took that in a very different direction.
Yes. For me, yeah, man, like it's hokey. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
shot in like 2 locations. The audio's not great, but you know, there are a couple like classic scenes from that movie.
I'll be
I
honest.
think it
I
was
want
one
to
of the-
say it's been 15 years since I've seen it. So I probably need to rewatch it again.
Truthfully,
to
it's
give it
not
a
one
fair-
that I watch like every single year, but I watch it probably every other year because I
Yeah.
think it's good. I think it was also one of the first movies to like really feature like a non-white actor as the hero.
Sure. Right.
And I don't know. I like it a lot. No, it can't really compare to Scream or Nightmare on Elm Street because
Right. It's
a
unfair
whole-
in its presentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think as like the dad of all of these movies, I think it deserves to be towards the top.
Sure. It was the leader of the pack.
But if I'm being
in-
honest, I watch Scream every year,
Right.
multiple times a
Right.
year, and I don't watch Night of the Living
What's
Dead.
your favorite zombie movie?
Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island? Dude, I don't know.
See, my favorite zombie movie is 28 Days Later.
Oh, I love that one. I also
So-
really like Day of the Dead.
Yeah, and so Dance of the Dead is really bad, by the way. Don't ever watch Dance
Well,
of the Dead.
there's 2 of them, and one of them I love.
Is the one with Robert Englund? Or is he in both?
I don't remember, but the one that I liked, it was when we were at Blockbuster, and it was like part of like those the movies that would come out and
4-packs?
Like the 8 horror films.
yes, every year.
Oh,
And it
yes,
was
I know
Dance of the Dead. It was like these high schoolers, and I remember the kid gets in trouble, and he like the gym teacher like makes him like stare at a wall, and like it's like a brick wall, and the gym teacher he's a dick, and he's just like, "You're watching the Brick Channel, all brick all the time," and like,
God.
I love that movie.
I will give you that I think Night of the Living Dead for its street cred
Sure,
deserves to be high.
I agree.
So are you okay if it's right next to it?
it could
If it's
be number
below
2 for
those
me.
two?
It could be number
Okay.
2.
Okay, let's do that.
Andy, you have the longest arms here.
No, I don't. I can't reach that.
This is a big table.
Come on. There you go.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, we're good.
What's next?
Child's Play.
Hey, Andy, let's play a little game. I was so scared of this movie because my name is Andy. So I thought Chucky was coming after me all the time. And, dude, anytime that he transfers his spirit into another body, creeped me out. Anytime people start speaking in tongues, it freaks me out. And he's literally like, "Dewey Timbella, give me the power, I beg of you." And he's like getting creepy, and he's like this little midget doll. And but the jump scares in Child's Play are great. There is some really good stuff. My daughter wants to see Chucky.
Oh,
Like she will say, "Daddy,
Yeah.
can I see Chucky?"
well, you dressed her up as
So,
Chucky
okay,
for Halloween.
So this is what happened.
Story time.
We dressed her up as Chucky for Halloween. And this was a plan before we ever had kids. Andy said,
Yeah.
if we have a redheaded child, they will be Chucky for Halloween.
It was perfect.
So she's 2, or she was 2, and we dressed her up as Chucky. And of course, she doesn't know who Chucky is. So she's like, "I want to see Chucky." So we
Right.
pull up YouTube, and we probably should have like pre-watched a clip to make sure that it was okay to show a 2-year-old.
Yep.
Well, we didn't. And so we watched a clip where Chucky's like hiding or like the teacher's looking in the
It's
closet.
in the schoolroom. Do you remember that
Oh.
scene?
Looking for Chucky, and then when she turns around, he's there with a knife and starts stabbing her.
No. It's not a knife. It's a ruler, isn't it?
No,
I
it's
thought
a
it was
knife.
like a-
It's a knife.
No, I thought it was a tire pump.
That scene is a knife.
Okay, for some reason
Pretty
I'm mixing it all
I'm
up.
pretty sure because Cam talks about it.
So she sees.
So anyway,
this-
then
yeah.
we showed her another clip of Chucky where he's a nice doll, like the advertisement.
Yeah.
Got it.
So then that's what we will continue to show her when she asks to see Chucky.
Got it.
But now,
You could just show her like the trailer for the movie.
but now she asks to see Scary Chucky,
Yeah,
Oh,
she
boy.
wants to see him.
and she's not afraid of it anymore. And probably just because she's knows what to expect now,
Yeah.
but should be like, Chucky's got a knife. Chucky scares the teacher. Like,
Yeah. Meanwhile, no, Chucky murdered that teacher, and you saw the whole thing.
and we're just like, oh.
And I was like,
we
okay,
can't tell
no
anybody
more
that we
YouTube,
literally watched
honey.
this.
No
Well,
more
you just told
YouTube.
everybody.
I know, I told
Yep.
everyone.
Bad Parent Award of the Year.
Yeah.
So, Child's Play for me, though, I believe is in that top 4 section.
I don't disagree. I think it's really good. I think it's a victim of the sequels get significantly worse as it goes along.
Bride of Chucky.
Yeah, I have not seen the new one. Did you watch it? I want to because I'm a huge Mark Hamill fan and I'll watch anything he does. And Aubrey Plaza's in it from Parks and Rec, and I also love Parks and Rec.
So quirky.
I haven't watched it. I've heard it was okay, but no, I don't disagree. I think it deserves to be in the top half of what we currently have.
Franchise movies, whether they got progressively worse or not, Chucky's like that character that you're like, he belongs in the horror monster Hall of Fame. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Sure.
bad guy Hall of Fame.
Sure, I don't disagree.
There's something about little
Yeah.
feet scurrying across the floor.
Well,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
idea
yeah.
of like a doll coming to life and attacking you is scary.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, it is freaky. So that's my take. I'm okay if it's number 3 though
that's fine.
to this. So
I didn't intentionally leave that spot open, but there you go.
people at home, we've got Scream and Nightmare Before Elm Street tied. What?
Nightmare Before Elm Street,
Oh, no.
the Disney classic.
A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm going to say that the whole time.
Yeah, you are.
Night of the Living Dead, Child's Play, It, The Shining, and Poltergeist. What's next, producer?
Friday the 13th.
Everything that I talked about already with Chucky and Nightmare on Elm Street
Yeah.
basically encompasses that film.
Sure, it's a
Those films.
Jason's a classic movie villain, along with Freddy and Chucky. Like,
Yeah.
I think that franchise-wise, it's suffered some of the Chucky stuff.
Yes.
But to be fair, a lot of these franchises that have multiple movies afterwards.
We're talking like 11 or 12 on Friday the 13th
there's some
now.
shitty ones,
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street included. Like, there are some.
What's crazy
stinkers.
though is that Nightmare actually Nightmare, god damn it, Friday the 13th goes up and down.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's like the first couple movies are like, oh man, this is crazy. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is like what a weird, crazy slasher film. And then it gets hokey. And then like Jason Takes Manhattan is awesome. It's like number 7 or 8.
Yeah, there's a couple good ones.
And then it just goes back up. And then Jason X, I think, or no, Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
Is a good one. But then Jason X, where he goes up to space, gets hokey
Yes,
again.
That was bad.
Yeah, and he like turns into like half cyborg. And
Even
there's
Freddy
like
versus Jason is just weird.
Freddy versus Jason is my guilty pleasure.
It's AVP for me. Alien versus Predator. I will watch that all the time.
Freddy versus Jason, like how awesome is that? I would have loved to see a sequel where like Mike Myers shows up, or you've got not Mike Myers,
Austin
Michael
Powers
Myers.
versus Freddy.
Yeah,
versus-
baby. Can Friday the 13th, I think, belongs in the top 3. This is for ranked horror franchises.
I think Friday the 13th is better than Child's Play.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Then we can put it
Okay,
at number
just
3.
put it right there.
I think that Jason has no personality, personally.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't even talk.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't like I've probably only seen one movie, but isn't it literally just like running from him the entire time?
Yeah, but he's walking, so it's an intense amount of cardio.
He's a brisk
yes.
walker. I don't know if you know, but he has won so many speed walking competitions.
Yes.
But at least like Freddy Krueger or Chucky or even It, like they're talking to you, like
Yes.
they're saying
Yeah.
things that
Yeah.
are creepy.
They
like
are scary.
they are scary. Like Friday the 13th to me, like Jason's just a figure. He's
the
like he might
only-
as well be a shadow.
The
like
only reason that you know anything about Jason is because his mom is able to like tell a little bit of the backstory about what happened. So do you know why Jason is what he is? So so as a little boy, he goes to Camp Crystal Lake and he's picked on.
yeah.
And when he gets picked on, they actually end up, he either falls in or somehow gets drowned in the water. And all the camp counselors are busy having sex and not watching the kids. And so that's why he comes back to get his revenge on all the camp counselors that care about making whoopee rather than taking care or doing their job. And that's like the premise.
Yeah, but if I'm being
Friday the
honest,
13th.
I think Mrs. Voorhees is a scarier villain than Jason is. Because she was the villain in the first one.
She was.
Spoiler alert,
Yeah.
I guess.
Sorry.
And that's why Drew Barrymore got killed in Scream. She didn't know that. She didn't remember that the mom was the bad guy.
They asked her that during
That was the question.
Oh.
That was the question. Anywho.
Okay, so moving on.
Sorry. So anyway, no, but I think she as Jason is scarier than Jason.
Because you get to hear some backstory from her.
Well, and she had a legitimate reason for revenge. Like
Right.
it was like, okay,
Right.
I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
And then it just goes on where it's like, oh, now he's just killing people.
Well, now
'cause
you
they're
have
having
to.
sex.
But now you have to. And I don't know if it's ever explained this well how he's immortal.
Probably not.
I don't think it has.
I don't think so.
See, and the same thing for Freddy Krueger is I don't know if it explains why he's able to come
I don't remember.
back. So I honestly, anybody that's seen these is gonna have like a legit answer. And I
Oh,
would like
somebody's
to know.
stroking out right now because we're wrong.
So, so yes, good list so far. Next,
Okay.
Okay. Halloween.
Okay, so I think Michael Myers
I'm gonna
is
wait.
exactly like Freddy or Jason, where voiceless, faceless, just a constant, like nonstop of I'm coming after you. If I'm being honest,
and immortal.
yes, I think that Halloween has some better sequels. Not talking about the Rob Zombie ones.
Well, the first one's great. Second
Yes.
one's not great.
Halloween, I feel like, has some better sequels in the history
Yeah.
than the Friday the 13th series. I also love Jamie Lee Curtis.
So I was gonna say that's why it's better.
Oh, yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis from beginning to end, if I'm not mistaken,
She's still in them.
right? So you have this great story that he's always after her.
Yes.
But in the Jason movies, doesn't it change a bunch, like who he's after?
I think so. I think it's new people
Right.
every time.
So
or
it's-
maybe like one or two people will
Right.
carry
So
through.
there's
but- Mm-hmm.
never like good lore. Like it's just Jason's back at it again, killing, and then people figure it out and try to get away from him.
Well-
So I understand, and I would say from a storytelling standpoint, yes, Halloween. I am fuzzy though why he kills when he's little again, when he's in his original.
I thought he
mask.
was just like crazy. I thought
He was just like an 8-year-old
evil
kid
little
with a
kid.
knife, and then he just stabs and
I think
doesn't
so.
stop
I don't
stabbing
remember.
for the rest of his life. Yeah.
But it's been a while since I watched the original Halloween. Did you watch the newer one that came out last
Yeah,
year?
it's great.
I really liked it.
You remember that one? Did you not watch that with us? With me?
No.
Oh,
I'm-
man, he's standing in the courtyard, not saying a word.
I loved it.
It's
I
awesome.
was very like, I don't know about this, but I watched it. I loved it. But I love how Jamie Lee Curtis's character like has evolved but you see what being the final girl has done to her life.
Yeah.
And like her whole family's like, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah, you're,
like,
you're a crazy old lady now,
yeah.
and she's like
and then
the whole
he comes
house
and
is put
she's
together.
like, she's got guns and shit. She's like, who's fucking crazy
So
now?
I've heard the newest one that they're working on right now is to kill Jamie Lee Curtis off finally.
Well, she has to die.
Yeah,
Like,
finally. Like this is like, but I don't know if Michael Myers will also perish finally with her because in spoiler alert, I think it's been more than 2 years. He's literally locked in a fire at the end
Yeah.
of that movie.
So
In like a blast chamber. And so I don't know how you survive that, but
He
obviously
will.
survived a bunch of other stuff. So it'll be like the Shredder in Ninja Turtles where his arm comes up
Yeah.
out of the trash.
So I don't know.
At the end of the movie.
You tell me. I think Halloween's better than the Friday the 13th series.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I would say, okay, storytelling standpoint, yes, I think Jason does way better kills. Jason is way more creative in
Yeah.
his kills
Yes.
than Michael Myers.
Yeah, Jason has very like creative,
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yes.
But I feel like that's the only thing that movie
That's
has
what
going
holds.
for
That's
it.
what holds him. Okay, next.
We only got a couple left.
3 left, guys.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's such a stupid premise.
Daddy
Weird
Leatherface.
movie. I was Leatherface for Halloween, and she called me Daddy Leatherface for a long time after that.
I'm sure there's a group of people who would love that.
Oh, okay. Story time. This was great. I don't know if I already said this on a podcast, but so it's Halloween. We're walking down our main street, okay? And we're a family. Ashley's Freddy Krueger, I'm Leatherface, and Cam is Chucky. And I walk past this little girl that's like a little princess in my Leatherface stuff, okay? And I wasn't holding anything sharp because I wanted to be safe, so I was holding like a mallet.
Oh yeah,
Just
I
like a
remember seeing the
mallet.
picture.
Okay, I can't see very well in this mask. So, and I'm walking like with like some like heavy stance, brooding, like, not saying a word to people, freaking them out. Anyway, I walk past this family and I bonked the little girl on the head
With your
the
mallet?
mallet. And I was just like, I turned to her and I'm like, "Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Are you okay?" Forgetting I have the mask on. So this guy hits you in the head and then comes down and I'm like, like in the mask. Yeah, where you can't like understand me. And
Yeah.
this little girl's like, "Ah!" And I'm like, I'm so sorry. We like walk away. I was like, "Let's go, honey. Let's go. Cam, come on."
Daddy's gonna get arrested.
Yep.
Daddy Leatherface is going to jail.
And people were just like, "Dude, that's messed up, man. Like, that guy's messed up." So that was a fun story time.
Oh, I love
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Bring it down, dude, to like Poltergeist level.
Yeah, I think like it's one of like the OG like classic horror movies, but it doesn't really hold up compared to, in my opinion, some of these other ones. But it's one of those ones where you don't see a lot of death. Like, you see a lot of people get murdered in a lot of these
Right.
ones, but it does a really good job of utilizing what you think is happening to these people.
I would say I brings it down on the list just because the first one is so incredibly annoying. The characters that have to run away from him and the screaming that they do.
Oh.
The entire thing is just like a wailing, like dying pigs and violins,
Yeah.
like and untuned violins. Like it's just like this terrible thing. And his outfit, he's in like a suit. And he has the like terrible practical effect Leatherface and like lipstick
Yeah.
and makeup. It's just really terrible. And he chases them, but then occasionally stops and just swings his chainsaw around and screams a lot. So he doesn't like have a great objective or goal. He wants to go after him, but also just go crazy every like couple minutes. So I would say Texas Chainsaw Massacre is hollow compared to the other films. On this list.
I think I like a lot more than I like that one.
Agreed.
I don't even know if I've seen it. Oh, yeah. Hellraiser.
As a kid, I saw these movies and they freaked me out just because they were eerie and sci-fi and creepy. But I didn't understand them. I truly didn't understand the Hellraiser movies too much, aside from they essentially were like the devil's bitters.
Yeah.
Like they just came
They're like demons.
to take the bad people away, which is crazy because they're not actually the villains of the films. Most of the time, there's somebody that's doing a bad thing who's the villain, and then the Hellraisers.
They're the collectors.
Yeah, the Pinhead and his crew come to take these people away. And that's when the scenes get really crazy and like out of this world.
I will
Yeah.
I think the best thing about the Hellraiser movies is the practical effects and the costumes.
So good.
Like
Really, really good.
it wasn't people wearing this weirdo mask that made them look weird. These were all like makeup effects on these villains.
Yeah.
And you have the lady with like the skin like
Yeah, I was going to say a
up,
lot of like
and then-
stretched and ripped skin
Yeah.
effects.
Well, because they're all being punished in some way.
Right.
And like costuming and stuff alone, it's like some weird BDSM nightmare thing.
Yeah.
But like I would say just like characters alone.
Yeah.
That is a movie that sticks with you just in the visuals of it.
Forever.
I don't think they're the best.
No, the films themselves are actually they're pretty
okay.
Pretty grueling to just get through. Like it's kind of like a sludge fest until you're like, okay, get on with it. What's happening?
Yeah, just make something crazy happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me it's definitely like bottom.
I'd say bottom
half.
Bottom three.
But I think like if you're thinking of like a film, like a costuming or makeup standpoint, I think they're probably one of the better ones on this list.
I agree. And Pinhead, which is funny because everybody calls him Hellraiser, but Pinhead is
He's iconic.
he's
I
so
mean,
iconic, and nobody even knows who he is for the most part.
Yeah.
They do from all the masks you see every Halloween.
Yes.
But not a lot of people, I would say, that are, I don't know, 20 or older,
Yeah.
maybe 25 or older, have even seen Hellraiser.
Yeah, I think.
Or
I mean,
any
it's
of
hard
the
because when
sequels.
I was putting this list together, I think I was trying to think of like iconic
Yeah.
bad guys, and you know, some of them maybe not so much. Don't have like a specified
Sure.
one bad guy, but like Hellraiser's always in like the top little grouping
Everything, yep.
of like, okay, you got to think of like 6 bad guys who you picking.
Yep.
Like you got like
They're in my court.
yeah, you have Leatherface, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers,
Chucky.
and Chucky.
Yep.
You might have Pennywise, but you will have Hellraiser
Yes.
almost every time.
Almost every time.
So
What's
oh,
our last one?
Last
Oh, sorry, were
one.
you done?
no? So I just wanted to say, as it sits currently, before
Yes.
we read the last one,
Yes.
we have Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street tied for number 1, followed by Night of the Living Dead, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Child's Play, It, The Shining, Hellraiser, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then Poltergeist.
Gotcha.
And last, but perhaps not least, The Exorcist.
Oh, that could be some people's number 1
Mm-hmm.
because of how freaky that is. Anytime you're dealing with demonic possession, it hits a chord with people
Yeah.
that is very different from like a non-realistic monster
Sure.
coming after you.
I couldn't even rank this because I will not watch it.
It freaks her out that much.
Uh-huh. I will say that in the vein of exorcism movies, I think it's tamer than some of the newer ones that have come out.
Absolutely now, yes.
But the movies like that, but even like Jaws, like, you know, Psycho, I think about like if you were a teenager or in your 20s and you saw that for the first time without seeing Saw and all that shit
Yeah.
we have now because we're so desensitized to everything, that movie would have terrorized you. Like,
I would have been fucked up for days
That
after
movie,
watching that.
it's-
yes.
that movie does a really good job of building all this tension. There's just
Dude,
so
the suspense
much.
before they see the little girl.
Oh,
This is one of the few films that when I watch it, like the room feels colder. Do you know what I'm
There-
saying?
yes.
Like, yes.
there
it's-
was a lot of
yeah.
stuff apparently happening while this movie was being filmed.
I've heard about these.
And
Yeah.
like there was weird shit happening when they were filming stuff. People were getting physically hurt.
Right.
I think in one of the sequels,
Wow.
someone actually died.
It's like The Crow.
It's crazy, but
Yeah.
like it's crazy. And of course, it happens during like an exorcism movie.
Well, anytime you deal, like I said, with demonic possession or anything that deals with like religious connotations, it's real. People
Mm-hmm.
believe, right? People, they're, you know, we have religion in the world, and these are things that like feel more tangible.
And they feel more real.
Yes,
Yeah.
when you watch this stuff. So, you know,
Than a bad guy in a mask.
Yeah, I don't believe that a knife man, when burns, is going to come get me in my dreams.
Yeah.
Right? But
But if you believe in the devil, you could believe that
Right.
he's going to get me.
which is funny because in that same thought process, Hellraiser should be right next to The Exorcist, but we don't believe that.
Yeah.
So, but yes, The Exorcist, and also the fact that it was like a 12-year-old little girl
Yeah,
that this is
a
happening
little
to
girl.
is even creepier.
Oh, yeah.
So I
And
know
some of the shit she says is like,
it's.
oh
I don't even
my
want to
God.
repeat it. I don't even want to repeat it.
No.
It's messed up. But yeah, that movie, I would say, not only is it iconic, but also like horror / thriller / ghost demon. Well, I don't know what possession, whatever you want to call it. It encompasses like the most freakiest parts of all of those films. And funny enough, is it's only like the last 30 minutes of the film or something like that that gets really
Fucking
freaky.
crazy. But I mean,
So yeah, I believe because of its hold
Yeah.
on our culture for being so scary for so long, it deserves a high spot.
no, I
the
agree.
list.
I think there's a reason. I mean, first you have like a creepy kid,
Right.
and then you have a creepy kid in a little nightgown who's possibly possessed by a demon.
Right.
And it's like, that is terrifying. And like, the way she's acting and the practical effects in that movie were
Dude,
great.
They still hold up today. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have not seen this movie,
You should.
when you watched it for the first time and her head spun all the way around, you probably lost your shit.
Well, and there were
I can
scenes,
only imagine.
Well, and they do a lot of the scenes. Obviously, everything had to be practical effects, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are scenes where the room is freezing, and
Right,
they
right.
actually had the room on like a
Cold.
refrigerated set.
Yeah.
So like, it's not effects that's making them have the breath that you can see. Like it was really that cold in there,
It's so-
and I think that's awesome.
You can feel it. You can feel it. So I think we've gushed enough about that movie. Do you
think
have any
I
negatives?
say-
Because I don't really. I think it still holds up.
No, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think top 5 easily.
Okay.
Now the question is, what do you think it's better than?
I would say.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I would say The Exorcist is better than Night of the Living Dead.
I don't disagree. Like I
Okay.
think as
Yeah.
a whole, I think as culturally relevant as it
Yeah.
still is,
Right.
I think it's good.
So I disagree on Scream. I would probably
Okay.
put Scream underneath The Exorcist,
Okay.
but then that leaves Nightmare on Elm Street, not before. That's a different movie.
Do you think Nightmare on Elm Street is better than The Exorcist? See, here's the deal. Are we doing this based on where we feel like we have to put things, or are we doing this based on our preference?
It's tough because I feel like Exorcist deserves number one because it's also on many number one most scary
These
movies
are all on them.
you'll ever see as number one.
Probably, well, okay, maybe not a few of these.
I would
but
put money that The Exorcist is most lists
I would
number one
say-
scariest films.
But
of
this
all
isn't
time.
their list. This is your list.
I know,
Our
but
list,
that's
baby.
So if it was my personal preference,
Mm-hmm.
I love Nightmare on Elm Street.
You almost did before.
I
again.
almost did. Nightmare on Elm Street,
Okay.
Freddy Krueger, for a couple different reasons. But how cool is it that you can come kill people in their dreams, in their nightmares?
Why don't we do this? Let's leave the list as it is and leave this choice between Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street to the listeners.
You want to do to the audience?
That's fine with me.
Okay, so listen up, guys. This is how our list is going right now, and I'm going to go from the bottom up.
Sure.
Okay. So at the bottom, we have Poltergeist, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Hellraiser, then The Shining, It, Child's Play, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Night of the Living Dead, The Exorcist, and then tied for number one is Scream or Nightmare on Elm Street. Let us know if you guys think either of those two should be on top, or if you think something else on the list deserves to be number one.
Yeah, if you think we're totally wrong, do your own list. I mean, redo it.
Right.
Everybody has different opinions, and if somebody thinks that we totally dropped the ball on a movie and put it lower than we should have, I want to know somebody else's list.
Yeah.
Or if there's a classic horror movie that maybe we missed, let me know if I missed one, because I probably did.
This is a fun trip down horror lane, though.
Yeah.
Happy Half-O-Ween.
Happy Half-O-Ween.
Yeah, guys. Check us out on our Instagram. Where can people listen to us, Amanda?
Okay, I'll do this again. So, YouTube, obviously. And then we're also on Stitcher, iTunes, Google. You can find us. iHeartRadio. Something else I'm probably forgetting.
Spotify.
Spotify. Thank you.
So almost anywhere you can find your podcasts.
Yes.
We're working on trying to blanket the system.
Yeah, and Pandora's the only one I'm waiting on. But like I said earlier, if there is a place that you listen to podcasts and you can't find us, let us know, and I will get us on there as well.
Excellent.
Also, to make a clarification, on Google Podcasts, it has to be the Google Podcast app,
Yeah.
not
Not
Google Play.
which doesn't make sense.
Which apparently Google Play does not allow new podcasts anymore.
Yes.
So,
But yeah, so if you just straight up Google Real Awkward Podcast, or if you go to the Google Podcast app, you will find us. Google Play, no longer has new podcasts, which is weird.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have to, like, as far as I know, I can't do anything else with Google, but
Maybe you have to have your own Wikipedia page or something.
Maybe. But yeah, as of right now, if you straight up Google us, you will find us.
Boom. Awesome. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us while we did a rank 'em on the top horror classic films of all time.
Cool.
Until we talk to them again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.